and welcome back to the AuPair podcast. If you're wondering how you can look after yourself and keep yourself feeling positive during your au pair stay, then this is the episode for you. In this episode, we'll look at everything that you can do to make your experience just that little bit easier, from finding a nice coffee shop to doing some exercise, even to eating chocolate. I remember the first time that I lived abroad. I spent 9 months living and working in rural Spain during the COVID-19 pandemic. Not easy. There were many times when I cried, raged, or thought about throwing everything away and going home. But I knew that wasn't really what I wanted. What I wanted was for my life abroad to improve, and going home wasn't going to do that. So, in order for this to happen, I really had to work hard on knowing how to look after myself and how to take responsibility for both my physical and my mental health. And I have to say, I really learned a lot. So this time when I moved to Germany, I had a whole host of techniques for dealing with life abroad up my sleeve. And these are what I'm going to share with you today. So the first thing that I did was I took measures to set up a new home here. Homesickness is completely normal. I'm pretty sure I said that in the last episode. It's totally fine and it happens. But taking steps to make this new environment feel like a second home can really help with the homesickness. So in terms of my space, I brought pictures of family and friends and I hung them up. I brought bunting to hang up so that this felt like my space. The first time I moved abroad, I even brought my own sheets and pillowcases. And every time I made my bed and then I left my room and I'd come back later and I'd think, it feels like my room. It feels like my space. Because especially if you're living with a family and you're living in their space, it's quite hard to have anywhere that feels like your own. So it's good to make your room feel like your own and to personalize it and make it a familiar spot. Another thing is to find a local spot outside of the home. This could be a cafe, a park, a bookshop. It's just nice to have somewhere that you can go to when you're feeling overwhelmed or anxious or stressed, and you can feel like you're in a safe, familiar place. So I always go for a walk in the park. Being surrounded by nature makes me feel so much calmer. I like to hear the birds. I like to see people just kind of wandering. I like to be in the trees and the greenery. It really relaxes me. Another positive is that there's not necessarily any social interaction. And if I'm feeling a bit overwhelmed, a bit stressed, then I tend to try and avoid that a little bit. Interaction with strangers, especially in a different language. And so at the park, you can just stick some headphones in, listen to a podcast or something and go on your way. And you don't need to speak to anyone or do anything that makes you feel anxious. So that's really good for your mental health. Actually, another benefit of the park is that it's good for your physical health. Looking after your physical health also has an effect on your mental health. So I try to make sure that I stay at least a little bit active here. It doesn't mean that I have to do really intensive exercise and workouts, but... Okay, this is future Becca just jumping in to explain what's happened. So I'm not a professional, I'm recording this on my phone and it ran out of storage partway through the video. So the video was cut off and I just had to stop and then delete some things and restart. So that is why there's a big jump between the last clip and this next one. Sorry. Okay, so I ran out of storage and my video cut me off. But what I was saying was that I tried to keep myself moving and feeling energetic and active. So going for a walk, getting some fresh air, it's good for you. And actually it's a great way to get to know the local area. I mean, sometimes I would let myself get a bit lost in the streets nearby my house and then try and work out how I could get home. Within reason, I mean, I would use my map as well, just in case, but it was a good way to kind of get familiar with the roads around me and where I could go and see other people and recognise faces. Another element of looking after yourself physically is eating. Whether you've eaten well or not can really affect your mood. And I know that when I first arrived, I really struggled with having a low appetite. I think I was quite nervous and anxious, and that manifested itself in stomach aches and just not really wanting to eat that much. I made sure that I tried to eat normally because I know it's good for you. And actually this did soon fade. It only lasted maybe 2 weeks. But I really noticed through that eating proper meals helps me to keep positive and also to feel assured that I'm looking after myself. So the appetite is definitely not something to neglect. It's kind of easy to let things slip when you're feeling a bit down or when there's a lot of changes around you, but it's a really important element of keeping yourself well.